So if we're going to get people to share content, we have to talk a little bit about what kind of people share content and what motivates them to share. There are essentially four reasons why people choose to share. One is that they want to show off their knowledge. They want to be the person who is in the know. This also can be I want to show that I'm the expert or that I am a trendsetter. Think fashion blogging is a good one for that. Um, Another reason is sort of ego stroking, right? They want access to special information and to let people know that they have special information, or they may want to share your brand status. If they are an ambassador for a brand that has a high status, their status will increase as well. Then you have fans that love a topic so much that they will share anything that comes across. I'm thinking here Disney. If you send me something about Frozen, I will share it, pretty much no matter what it is. And lastly, there are people who share because there are rewards. And some of these are sort of professional deal makers, like coupon ladies, I guess. People who share a lot of coupons may find that they may have a reward. Sometimes they may even be paid for sharing. So some warm fuzzies because they are made to feel better about sharing, or because they have a discount. People also share because it establishes who they are, which is a little bit of all of the above. It establishes that what their priorities are, or what sort of person they are. They want people to know what kind of person they are, and so that's why they share things. But if you're going to get people to share, first you need to catch their attention. Here we delve a little bit into some psychology and the gap theory of curiosity, which says that people are naturally curious and that we have a compelling need to fill in gaps in our knowledge, that you need to know what happens. It's why people watch the end of really bad movies. It's why people continue through a book that they hate, because they need to know what happens. So we can use this to encourage sharing by and getting your attention actually before you share, right? By giving you enough that your curiosity is aroused, by giving you a part of the story, but not the whole story. And we'll take a look at some shareable headlines, otherwise known as clickbait. Here we have some clickbaity headlines. The "Do you come from royal blood?" right? That teases it. The 10 Costco membership benefits we bet you didn't know. Anytime there's a list, the 10, whatever they are, that's going to be some sort of gap curiosity idea. The one they gave everyone else at the Golden Globe, serious relationship envy. I can't tell right away who those people are. I suppose if I looked long enough, maybe I could figure it out. But the idea is you will click on the story and you will find out who they are and why they gave everyone else at the Golden Globe serious relationship envy. If you look here, you can also see some that appeal to knowledge, right? The Alienware Amplifier review. If you're a real computer audio geek, right, sharing that may help establish you as the computer audio geek. The best sheets you've ever slept in. If your persona includes yourself as a high-end consumer of household goods, then by sharing that, you reinforce that part of your personality. Romney rips GOP, for letting Trump happen. If you're interested to know what good old Mitch had to say about Trump, because you want to be the person who can pass that information on to your circle of fellow not so much loving the Trump people, then you might share that. So you can see how the getting the attention works as far as the clickbait stuff is, but you also have appeals to the other reasons that people share. So in order to create content that people want to share, you want to create that gap. Your headline can ask a question. It can be a teaser. It can show part of the story, but not the informational part. You don't want to give the facts. If you write 7 dead after house fire, then why do I need to read any further? Because now I know the whole story. Well, maybe I don't know where. So 7 dead after house fire in FIU Bayview Apartments number 219 would be a worse headline. But you get the idea. You want to structure your posts so that you're not giving away the important thing in the headline, but you are giving enough information that you get someone's attention. Another thing you need to make sure is that anything that you intend to be shared, which should be pretty much anything you put on social media, should be easy to share. So simple to share that your grandmother could share it. One of the ways we do that is by putting social channel links on the content, so that you just have to click the button and boom, it's shared. I share a lot of stuff, for instance, from the New York Times. And it's really easy because I just have to click the little Facebook symbol with the word share next to it, and there, voila, it is there. If I didn't have that, if I had to copy the URL and go to Facebook and paste it and then do it that way, I probably wouldn't do it. But because it's easy to share, I'm more likely to share. You also need to know that it's which way is going to work best for your audience or for your site, which is where you get into something we call A/B testing, where you figure out where the buttons need to be on the page. That's fairly technical. For this class, it's just important to know that you would want to test to see that you're putting the buttons in the right place, and that there are a myriad of articles and information and even experts who will help you find the right place to put the share button on your page. It's also important that you don't forget about your audience, because all strategic communication is message plus audience. So you want what you're trying to get your information shared to be relevant to the people whom you want to share it. We're going to talk a little more about target demographics next week. But right now, it's important to remember that who your audience is as important as the message that you're asking them to share. You want to share what about your brand is interesting to your audience. It needs to be specific, and it needs to be different from other brands or other things that they're being asked to share. There needs to be a reason. Why should they share this and not some other thing, right? So, and it needs to be good. Great content plus what my audience is interested in means that they are likely to share that. Now, not all shareable content, as I said, it has to be great content that your target audience is interested in that gets shared. Not all content is equally shareable. Things that are easy to share, home, lifestyle, entertainment, funny things, right? Unexpected things. Something that really makes you sit up and take notice. Something that is different, Sometimes things that are controversial also are very easy to share, because people are like, see, this proves my point, or see how awful this is. Now, of course, we usually want the point A and not the point B. So before, using controversial content, you always want to think long and hard about how that reflects on your brand and what place that has with your brand and with your audience. But that sort of stuff is easy to share. Technology is a little less shareable, right? Some people like to share information about technology, but not everybody wants to read it and not everybody is interested in it. And then, of course, sometimes, you're selling tires and you have to find a way to make selling tires fit into content that is readily shared. For instance, when you're selling tires and you put a little baby in the picture and you talk about how having good tires protects the baby, now you're dealing with a lifestyle choice. Or maybe you're talking about how the tires give you great traction so you can go faster. That's also a lifestyle choice. Maybe you have, I don't know, some funny joke that involves tires, and I can't think of one, but then that would be entertainment. So the point is, you need to take the thing that you're selling and you need to find a way to place it in categories that people like to share. And the next slide is going to have some of those categories. So here we have the top 10 topics from Twitter and from Facebook. This is from 2014, taken from Clout. And you can see music is number one in both, which fits squarely into entertainment. Television is number two on both. Software is up there. Holidays are up there, which leads to some interesting thoughts on holidays and creating your very own holiday. You can see sports is important, particularly on Twitter. That's probably people live tweeting sports, particularly it seems basketball, right? But if you take a look at that, and it's not inclusive, right? And it may have changed a little since 2014, but you could certainly look up this information right now and see what topics are people talking about on social media, and then how can I link my product? Well, maybe my product falls in one of those categories, but if it doesn't, how might I relate it to a holiday? And we'll talk about that in the next PowerPoint presentation. But that's the way you've got to be thinking. You have to be thinking strategically about how can I make this horribly boring piece of information that I have interesting, exciting, funny, controversial, something that makes people want to share it. Now let's talk about some of the characteristics of the content that shareable content has in common, right? That two pieces of shareable content might share these characteristics. One is that the campaign needs to be easy to remember. Right? You have about 8 seconds to create an impression on social media and get someone to share your stuff. A classic example of this is the Share a Coke campaign. Share a Coke was tremendously successful for any number of reasons, but the one we're interested in as far as sharing on social media is that it was simple, right? It was Share a Coke. The hashtag was Share a Coke, and it became the number one trending global topic hashtag when it was being used. They gained 25 million Facebook followers as a result of this campaign, and the thing that, of course, every social media campaign or a social media portion of a campaign wants to show is the bottom line, the business goal, right? They had a 2% increase in soft drink sales. That's tremendous for Coke. I mean, pretty much everybody drinks Coke already, so that they were able to squeeze an additional 2% out is huge. It needs to be a concrete idea, something that people can visualize, not something that's abstract or a concept that is radically different from one person to another. So in this case, it's the Elevate Your Career in Just 1 Month, right? Which is for a tutorial site. Everyone knows what that means, and if they don't know what it means, we see the guy with the balloon, right? Which helps us realize what it means. But it's not, there's no mystery to the elevate your career in just 1 month. It's a very concrete thing to say in a very concrete image. Here's one I like, Sugru. Sugru, and you will notice that part of their website says, what is Sugru? I don't know if everyone knows, but Sugru, what does it do? It fixes things, which is really obvious from their web page. It's also obvious from, you can see the YouTube link right there. It's obvious from their social media. It fixes things. It's moldable glue. Just sort of a little heads up here, by the way, Sugru is really great if you have that problem, with your lightning cables, that they always stop working because they bend next to the lightning adapter head there. If you put a little Sugru on there, you can keep your lightning cable alive much longer. But the real point here is that they say right up front, what is Sugru? It fixes that thing. It fixes stuff. There's no mystery there. That's concrete. The claim that you're making in your social media has to be credible. And here I picked an ad from the past, actually from probably the beginning of my childhood. They still had these. But the idea, they used to have, that Camels used to advertise themselves, that more doctors smoked Camels than any other cigarette, which suggested that Camels were somehow healthy or healthier for you. Now, cigarette companies can't do that anymore because it's a complete and utter lie. But the reason this worked is because people trusted doctors. And if you said a doctor do this, it can't be bad for you, right? The same thing happens in social media. You want the people you are choosing, your influencers, whoever's representing you, to be credible, to be believable to your target audience, right? You want the claims that you make to be backed up. Sometimes it really is all about an influencer. It really is all about the person who is the one doing the sharing for you, right? The people, the fans, who share your material, they need to be credible to their followers. But it's important that what you're saying is something that can be believed, because after all, one of the reasons we're interested in social media is because people believe their friends. They don't believe advertising. And so if we can get something shared, it's more likely to be believed. The things that make something credible are living proof, right? You can see it. Hit the Will It Blend button and go take a look at, or just Google Will It Blend and go to YouTube, because it's a blender company, BlendX. I want one of these blenders one day when I'm rich, because it blends everything, including iPhones, and it is, the living proof. You see it happen, right? Sometimes it's statistics. 4 out of 5 dentists who chew gum recommend Trident. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Trident to their patients who chew gum. We all know that one, right? So the statistics may make something appear more credible. But the thing that is most operational for social media, and actually the thing that makes things the most credible, is what we call social proof. Social proof is the idea that if we don't know something, we look around at the other people around us who we think do know something, and we believe them. Right? So there are innumerable examples of this, but one is, if you put on your ad, your Facebook ad, that thanks to our 60 million followers, you'll find that the number of followers you get when you add that to your ad goes up, because people are more likely to follow you if they think other people have followed you. Reviews, right? If there's a restaurant that has a lot of reviews, even if some of those reviews are is more likely to be visited than a restaurant who has 2 reviews, because we're always worried that those 2 reviews came from, the person who owns the restaurant's mother and sister. anytime anyone uses, reviews, that's some social proof. If your friends all tell you that this is a good place, that this is a good band, you're likely to go listen to that band or to pick up their album. So social proof is really, really important and a huge part of the credibility that is involved in social media. Another thing that makes content shareable is it when it connects with its audience emotionally. When something connects with us emotionally, when something moves us, we are more likely to share it. I'm going to put these two links in the module. I guess I'll put the other link in the module as well. You can see how in both of these cases, YouTube was used to create an emotional response to a brand. Fireman Saves Kitten for GoPro is a classic. And the DNA journey is another one where it takes you in a place that you don't think that you were going to go, but at the end you're like, wow, that's so cool, and I want to share it with my friends, which is, after all, why we're creating this social content, because we want you to share it with your friends so that your credibility will then be passed on to our brand that you've shared with your friends, and thereby, raising the profile of our brand. I've saved for last the most important thing. You have to tell a story. I teach an entire graduate class on telling a story in digital media. And the digital media is often content for social media. But if you tell a story, people will remember it because we remember stories, and people will be more likely to share it because it's more likely to strike us emotionally. I have almost any Budweiser commercial tells a story. This is one that was appropriate given the discussion, right, about immigrants that we're currently having. The commercial becomes relevant because of that, which also adds to what I guess we could say. It also adds an aura of controversy to it, even though that's probably not what Budweiser intended. But you can see that because it has that story, that's something that you want your friends to see, or that's something you want to say, see, look, this is what I was talking about. So your content should always tell a story, even if it's a really short story. Wow, we have great jeans, right? Can be a story. Well, actually, it's usually, wow, we have great jeans, and if you wore them, you'd look as good as this model. But you need to make sure that you have that message, and that message is usually a story.